Hey, what's up everybody? It's Connery from Out of Work Outdoors. Today I want to take a couple minutes to explain a couple things to some of our fans and just to address a question that I've been asked at least 4 or 5 times. It's been the past 2 or 3 years. And that question is a simple question, but it's really hard to explain. I kind of thought about it for a couple days, and this is what I've come up with, and hopefully it helps everybody out. But the question or the underlining topic is what makes a cheap reel and an expensive reel worth the money. You know, if you're gonna go with an entry level kind of like this one, coming in at around 120, versus something like this, which is the Steez coming in roughly 400 or 450, and you have the Zillion coming in around 300, right around that ballpark. And to give you guys the best example of this, you can't really compare manufacturer to manufacturer because their quality is different from every reel, and it doesn't always follow this. Boy, it tends to follow it a little bit, but some manufacturers tend to focus on just the low ends. Some manufacturers do just high ends. Some manufacturers do just that mid group of anglers. And I had to pick this brand. This is the Daiwa brand. And I had to pick Daiwa because that's one of my favorite brands. Not the only one, but one of my favorite. And they cover the entire spectrum. So I'm going to give you guys a good rundown of my opinion of what makes an entry level, and what makes the top tier reels so much more expensive. But if you can afford them, or if you decide to sell all 5 of these, you know, if you had 5 of them and you can get like $80 a piece for them, sell all your old reels and pick up one of these. Why one of these is so much worth it. So without postponing the discussion any further, let me get into it. This is circa 2016. All 3 of these are, so it's a good comparison as well. So this is the Daiwa Tatula CT non-Type R. This is the base model, and this is the beginner reel that we recommended for all of our viewers this year. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of cool color schemes. It's got a little accent here on the knob and a little accent here in the spool, and that's pretty much about it. And its main feature is just the TWS system. That's a feature that's proprietary to Daiwa. But overall, it's a good reel. You know, it's smooth enough for us to recommend at least. You don't get a lot of grinding sounds on this reel. It's a really good reel. You'll be happy with it. The average user or the average fisherman, this is not including the anyone who fishes tournaments or even some tournaments, they'll be happy with this reel. And it comes in at a price point where you can probably buy 5 or 6 if you had to. You get 5 or 6 setups. It's nice. It'll do the job. But there are some struggles with it, and I'll get to that once we cover the better reels. It comes with all the basic controls, and that's what this one is, the basic model. And as you can see, there's no special coatings, there's no special materials used. It's all basic materials. Plastic here, a couple aluminum side plates, and that's pretty much it. I mean, nothing very fancy. It'll get you done. Get the work done. That's what it's designed to do, you know, for the entry level angler. And then, well, let me get another thing. Most of the reels between 100 and 200 will be around this kind of category. A lot of basic features. That's why it's very competitive. That's why this is the most competitive market in fishing reels. So, you're gonna have to look at different brands when you're shopping in this price range. Now, once you step it up to the 200 to 300 class. This is American dollars, by the way, USD. You start getting into what I think manufacturers, their personality or their company's goals or their company's soul, you can say. That's when these reels start to distinguish each other from manufacturer to manufacturer. And also, the proprietary technologies start to come out from manufacturer to manufacturer once you hit that $200 range. Right around 200, maybe some people might even argue 180, but for me, I'm going to keep it simple, 200 to 300. That's when you start seeing carbon fiber stuff. That's when you start seeing cool letters, better paint jobs, that type of stuff. And also, this is where you start seeing these tension knobs. They have clicking sounds in them. Well, not clicking. It's retention. So it doesn't slip by itself. On the entry levels, there are none. They just spin, and they are there just with tension. And there's a lot more tension on this knob than there is on this knob. So it's fine tuning things, and that's what this kind of level of reel will get you. And as you can see, this one comes from Daiwa. This comes with an SV spool, and this is their base model to include the SV spool. And once you break this price point, you kind of expect something special from any manufacturer. You might not get exotic materials yet, but you get pretty much, you're going to get most of the goodies. Like 90% of their goodies are right around this price point. And those for you who don't know, this is the SV spool. It's a shallower spool. It's very, very, very good at anti-backlashes. Casting upwind, skipping docks, skipping Cinco, skipping flukes underneath targets. Highly recommended if somebody wants to borrow a reel and they're trying to get into the baitcaster world, give them something with the SV spool. That way they won't backlash every cast. So it's really good for that. So help your buddies out if you have one of these reels. And I'll put this together later. And then if you look at, okay, what makes a $400 to $500 reel, this one, much better, you're going to look at materials. The difference between this one and this one is going to be materials. Materials used. They might be slightly smaller. They might be a little bit more compact. But the main difference between all these is going to be material. Oh, and I forgot an important thing too is cranking power. So I know these are all different gear ratios. So a lot of people will tell you, if you want a reel that for every turn of the crank, you get more power. Power meaning for every pound of pressure you get here, the spool also gets every pound or a percentage of that pound. The higher end reels have better gears in them. And with better gears, what that means is you're able to move the fish faster. You're able to fish like a deep diving crankbait that tugs on your line, your rod a lot. It's just more comfortable to turn it with a high speed or a high end reel because of the better gearing. If you're pulling fish out of thick vegetation, this is probably the one you're going to go with, unless if you got one that you really, really like, and it's okay. But for the most part, these higher end reels, they have more power to pull, more power to do all types of things. And like I said, it's got the SV spool. I'm not gonna take it out. It's the exact same thing as that, but this one's made out of magnesium. Magnesium is an exotic material for the freshwater market. It's bad for saltwater because it does corrode, but for the freshwater market, magnesium is the way to go. If you want the ultimate lightweight, ultimate sturdiness of the reels, that's the other thing I forgot to mention is some of these reels, they seem to wobble a lot. I mean, when you're reeling them, it seems like the tolerances in them are a little more loose than on this one. This one, when you're fishing this one, it's super smooth. The tolerances are tight, so it's smooth, and it's got a lot more power. As you go down, the tolerances are still pretty good. Power's still pretty good. But you don't get the magnesium materials. So it's a little on the heavier side. But it's still great. And this is the one where you don't get any of that. You get the T-Wing system, which is a proprietary technology from Daiwa. But this is your entry level. So it is going to be a little heavier. Not extremely heavy, but it is heavier. And for the guys that are wanting the super, super light setups, this is probably not going to do it for you compared to this one. This one's going to do it for you. And the other thing I was going to get across to everybody is, if you're a fisherman who's been fishing for more than 5 years, just buy this one. I think you deserve it, If you only have one setup, okay, if the people say, if I only have one setup to go with, which one would you do? And I'd ask him, like, what's your price range? And they say, I'm a baller. I can go as high as I want. I said, go with this one. There's no regrets buying this one. Because the reason why I say this is this one will outlast these two. and that's just been proven in our neck of the woods. The cheaper reels, after about 2 years, they start to lose a lot of their rigidity, or their tolerances are starting to wobble out of tolerance. Where these, after 3 or 4 years, it's still as good as this one when it was brand new. So instead of replacing reels every 2 years, you buy this, you're pretty much good for a while. All right. And so that's pretty much all I got to say today. So I mean, that's a short and sweet answer. I mean, we get into all of these things, but especially the power thing is the major thing that I found that I like and don't like about reels now that I've gotten into them. So when I'm buying a new reel now, I'll try to focus my attention on something like this if I can afford it. If it's something that I don't always fish, and say it's a top water reel where there's not a lot of drag, then I don't mind going something like this. But if you're doing like spinner baits and things like that, where you're or retrieving lures that have a slightly bigger lures that matter too, that have more water resistant, then you want to go with something a little bit bigger. Not bigger, but higher in price range or higher in quality, because it gives you the cranking power. But some people are you want to just step down one gear ratio. You can. That's if you are still in this range. If you step down in gear ratio, it'll give you more power, but when the fish hits it, you can't catch up to them. Versus with something like this, these two, you got good cranking power, so you can control that low speed. And when the fish snaps at the lure, you have the power to reel down 2 times and set them. And and from my experience too, when I'm in the higher gear ratios, the 7s and the 8s, I tend to lose a lot less fish. That's my take on it. So that's a little thing on gear ratios. And, hope you guys enjoyed that. Any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to